Hello everyone, my name is Robbie Knecht. In this video, I'm going to talk about why Bitcoin is worth less. To begin the video, I kind of want to bring some context into it. It was early 2020, around the beginning of the pandemic. I kind of took the orange pill, so to speak. I first got very interested in Bitcoin around that time, early 2020, and I just started to buy as much Bitcoin as possible with all the money that I had, basically. I was buying Bitcoin when it was below $10,000, got to a point where 95% of all the money that I had was in Bitcoin. I never got to one full Bitcoin. The most I ever got to was to about 0.8 Bitcoin. So I never got to one full Bitcoin. 2020 happens, and the timeline of 2020, Bitcoin takes off and reaches a peak of $60,000. And I'm just like, this is amazing, woo! Dropped back down to 30,000. I started to look a little bit more into it and thinking like, how am I right, basically, on this whole thing of Bitcoin? To begin, the thing that really got me interested in Bitcoin was the supply and demand equation that comes into Bitcoin. And I have it written down here, the basic supply and demand of how Bitcoin basically works. Here, you have your market cap divided by your total supply equals your current price. This is just your basic equation on supply and demand. In the case of Bitcoin, there are only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin ever, quote, mined. Okay, if that's the case, if there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin ever mined, that means the higher that this market cap goes, the higher that current price is going to go. So the more that people buy Bitcoin and the more money that goes into the Bitcoin ecosystem, the higher this current price is going to go, and vice versa. The lower that the market cap is, the more that people take money out of the Bitcoin ecosystem, the lower that current price is going to go. So that was really like the biggest like epiphanous moment I had with Bitcoin. It's just like, oh boy, like the more that people buy this thing, the higher that price is going to go. And then came the question of like, okay, am I at the front of this curve or at like the middle or the end of this curve? So it was kind of like, oh, well, not a lot of people are really talking about Bitcoin at this moment. So I think I'm kind of in the beginning of this curve. So I was just buying and buying and buying. And it got to a point where 95% of all my money was in Bitcoin. Price shoots up, $60,000. I'm like, yeah. And in my Cash App account, I was like, holy cow, that's a lot of money. There was the whole thing of Bitcoin's going to reach $100,000 by the end of, 2021, or 12 to 18 months after the halving. So with Bitcoin, there's halvings every 4 years, which means that when the miners that are doing the algorithms and get rewarded a prize is cut in half every 4 years. So it's called the halving. And I think the halving happened in May of 2020, May or June of 2020, something like that. So that's when like all the hype was going on. And Bitcoin shot up. So this was really the equation that got me into Bitcoin. It's just like, holy cow, the more people that buy this thing, the higher this price is going to go. So that means if I put in $10,000, I could make a lot of money. So that's what I did. And I did make some good amount of money. I did not. This is one of the lessons that I learned looking back in hindsight is I should have sold off a good portion of my Bitcoin when it was at 60,000 that first time around, when it hit that new all-time high of 60,000, which was like December of 2020, January of 2021, when it hit that first time at $60,000. I should have sold a lot of my Bitcoin there because it was kind of stagnant for a little while. And that's when all the hype and all the memes were coming out, and I'm just in this euphoria, like, oh, this is amazing. $100,000 is next. And then it dropped down to $30,000, and I'm just like, okay, hold on. So I did end up selling a good portion of my Bitcoin around that like $35,000 to $45,000 range. For me, I still made a good amount of money because majority of my Bitcoin purchases was below $10,000. So I did make a good amount of money selling at the $30,000 mark. but I was kicking myself in the head that I should have sold at $60,000. And then it did shoot up, as it currently is, around like $60,000 again. But I'm putting more thought into it now. And the reason I titled this video of why Bitcoin is worth less is because the only thing that I really think Bitcoin has going for it is this equation. So it's like the more people that buy it, the higher that price is going to go, and the less that people buy it, the lower that price is going to go. And I don't really see anything else other than this on like why Bitcoin. And I did have a while, I don't know, it was when I was in college, he was like doing all this like spreadsheet and like crazy chart stuff with cryptocurrencies and blah 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 blah, and he told me about Ethereum, and I was like, at the time, like, okay, I didn't know anything, and he was telling me about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I was like, I could see like Ethereum working because it's like, it seems like there's a utility to it, like the whole idea of like dApps and decentralized applications and all of that, and I could see utility to Ethereum. I bought some Ethereum. I made like $200, which at that time was a good amount of money for me. I was like, oh, cool, I made some money, and then I sold it off. And then now Ethereum's at like $44,000 plus, so something like that. And then 2020 comes along, I get the Bitcoin bug, buy, make some money when I sell. But there was I know I'm bouncing around a lot here, but there was a time when I had 95% of my money in Bitcoin, but I couldn't do anything with that money because there was no use for it. I couldn't go to a coffee shop and buy a cup of coffee with my Bitcoin. Now, that's not to say that in the future you won't be able to do that, but I do think there's going to be better alternatives to Bitcoin for when it comes to something like that. And I think I love the idea that Bitcoin is more of the front door to the world of cryptocurrency, and kind of like someone put it as Bitcoin is the Trojan horse to cryptocurrency. The world accepted this thing called Bitcoin, and then now it's nighttime and all the little soldiers are coming out, and we're getting new inventions and new creations and innovations and all these other decentralized applications and so on and so forth, different coins, tokens, blah, 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 blah. So I want to end this video, though, by saying that I do think Bitcoin really only has this going for it, and all the people that online are telling you to buy Bitcoin, that Bitcoin's going to go to the moon, Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million. Let's say it does, that's great. But when it gets to $1 million, you need to sell the Bitcoin in order to make the money that you initially invested and realize those gains. So if everyone's selling then at $1 million, that price is just going to drop back down because of this equation. The people that are telling you to buy Bitcoin, it's because they know that the more people that buy Bitcoin, that higher that price is going to go. And in order for them to realize their gains, they're going to have to sell off eventually, investment speaking, to realize those gains that they made, which then could make that price go back down. And the way they're probably making majority of their money is by creating content, ad revenue, apparel revenue, all those other things that go along with Bitcoin, not just Bitcoin itself. So I wanted to put that out there. Bitcoin is a cool thing. I'm just not going to have 95% of my money in it. I love to watch it. It's fun to watch. It's fun when all the memes come out. But this time around, I know that when the memes begin to hit and I'm in that euphoric state, I think that may be a signal that, hey, I should sell some stuff at this point in time. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Hit that subscribe button down below over here. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Love you. Bye.